Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where incredible stories about hidden treasures, mysterious coins, and legendary discoveries come to life. If you thought the world of numismatics was all about dull collections and dusty binders, think again. Today, we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in coin history, a 2007 D1 cent coin, seemingly ordinary, yet holding secrets that would elevate it to an astonishing value of $306 million. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just about copper and zinc. This is about hidden history, covert operations, and a mystery that even federal agents couldn't crack for over a decade. Buckle in, because this isn't just a story about a coin, it's a tale of legacy, betrayal, fate, and how one forgotten penny became the center of the most expensive treasure hunt the world has ever known. It all began in a quiet suburb of Boulder, Colorado. A retired military engineer named Malcolm Rusk lived in a small house near Chautauqua Park. Malcolm was known for his eccentric hobbies: astronomy, ham radio, cryptography, and coin collecting. A widower in his late 70s, he spent his time going through boxes of coins he had accumulated during his years stationed across the globe. One chilly afternoon in November of 2021, Malcolm was rummaging through a tin he had completely forgotten about. The tin itself was nothing special: rusted edges, the logo of a long-defunct candy company barely visible on the lid. Inside were a few random coins from his past travels, old receipts, a faded photograph of his late wife, and a single shiny 1-cent coin from 2007 with a D mint mark. At first glance, it looked like any other penny, nothing rare. But something about its weight felt slightly off in his hand. Malcolm, being the analytical type, brought out his digital scale. He noted the coin weighed a bit more than it should have. Puzzled, he compared it with 5 other 2007 D pennies he had in a jar nearby. The mystery deepened: those others weighed exactly as expected. But this one, it was different. He brought out his magnifying lens and examined every detail. It wasn't just the weight. The coin had what seemed like an imperceptible raised ridge around Lincoln's bust. It looked almost like a second engraving hiding beneath the first. Still unsure, Malcolm contacted an old friend of his, Arthur Lee, a retired metallurgist who had worked at the Denver Mint in the late 2000s. Malcolm and Arthur hadn't spoken in years, but when Malcolm mentioned the unusual penny, Arthur's voice on the phone dropped to a whisper. "You found one?" he asked. Malcolm was taken aback. "One what?" After a long pause, Arthur replied, "I think we should talk in person." 2 days later, Arthur drove up to Boulder. He came with a portable spectrometer and a nervous look in his eyes. After scanning the coin for 10 minutes in complete silence, he looked up at Malcolm and said, "This isn't just a penny. This is the penny." In the early months of 2007, something unprecedented had occurred at the Denver Mint. A new security protocol had been implemented following threats of foreign infiltration into the minting process. As part of a clandestine project called Echo Shield, a dozen experimental coins were produced using rare metals, secret alloy compositions, and embedded microdot technology. These coins were designed not for circulation, but as test subjects for next-generation counterfeit-proof currency. They contained hidden data, micro-engraved serials, nanoscopic barcodes, even quantum-locked identifiers. The coins were supposed to be destroyed after testing. But according to Arthur, one batch went missing, never accounted for, never logged, and never seen again. Malcolm's 2007 AD penny was one of those coins. Arthur was visibly shaken. "They'll come looking for this," he said. "You can't just walk into a shop and sell this. There are protocols. People have gone missing over less." But Malcolm had no intention of selling the coin. He wanted answers. And so began a journey that would lead them into archives, abandoned government facilities, private auctions in Monaco, and eventually a hidden vault beneath the hills of Virginia. Word of the coin leaked unintentionally. Arthur made an encrypted inquiry to a former contact in the Federal Reserve's Secret Compliance Division. Within 48 hours, their phone lines were tapped. Drones buzzed over Malcolm's home. They began to notice unmarked vans parked across the street. Malcolm, ever the strategist, mailed the coin to his nephew in Lisbon under the pretense of a birthday gift, disguising it among dozens of ordinary coins. When agents came knocking, Malcolm smiled and said, "You're 24 hours too late." Meanwhile, in Lisbon, Malcolm's nephew, André, was a journalist who specialized in geopolitical corruption. He immediately realized the coin's value, not just monetary, but as a symbol of secrets too long buried. With help from cryptographic experts at the University of Coimbra, André used electron microscopes to reveal the microdots. The data hidden in the coin pointed to offshore accounts, defense contracts dating back to 1983, and satellite blueprints that were supposedly decommissioned. In a quiet cafe near the Praça do Comércio, André was approached by a woman calling herself Zeta. She claimed to be an independent historian and researcher for the Smithsonian. She wasn't. She was MI6. Zeta explained that the coin was one of the lost Echo Shield 12, each uniquely marked, each connected to a different global financial conspiracy. The 2007 descent Malcolm found was Unit 11, believed to contain the coordinates to a submerged vault in the Arctic Circle, rumored to hold a ledger of every black operation run by the CIA between 1979 and 2006. Malcolm, Arthur, and André formed an unlikely alliance. They knew they had to act fast. News had already spread on the darknet, bidders offering upwards of $100 million for the coin, if only to destroy the data it held. Others wanted it to expose secrets. Hackers in Estonia traced surveillance files back to agencies in Tokyo and Tel Aviv. An anonymous offer came from a private Russian collector who claimed to have 4 of the Echo Shield coins already. As the bidding war escalated, a shadowy council of intelligence brokers arranged a secret summit aboard an unmapped ship floating near the Azores. There, Malcolm and André presented the coin to a panel of 12. Each was a representative of a different clandestine agency. They didn't ask how Malcolm got the coin, they knew. What they wanted was simple: silence. They offered Malcolm $306 million for the coin, and a non-disclosure agreement that would bury the truth forever. Arthur urged Malcolm to take the deal. "We can't fight them," he said. "We don't even know who they are." But Malcolm paused. "If we sell the coin, the truth dies with us. But if we expose it, how many lives are ruined? How many wars reignite?" In the end, Malcolm accepted the deal, but only partially. He handed over the coin in exchange for the money and used the funds to create an international non-profit aimed at whistleblower protection and historical transparency. The rest of the world never found out what was hidden in the 2007 AD penny. But in quiet circles, it became legend today. That single cent sits in a cryo-sealed chamber somewhere in northern Switzerland, guarded by men who don't exist on any payroll. Malcolm passed away in 2024, his legacy written not in books, but encoded into a website only accessible via a rotating cipher key built into a chessboard he left for André. Arthur disappeared in 2023, last seen boarding a train to Zurich with an unmarked briefcase. André now runs the organization in Lisbon under a different name, but every so often, he receives a postcard, always blank, except for a date and a single character. Some believe it's a countdown. Others think it's the beginning of a larger code, one that will someday reveal the location of the remaining Echo Shield coins. The 2007 D1 cent coin, once believed to be worth a fraction of a dollar, became a symbol of how value isn't just about rarity or material, but about secrets, power, and what people are willing to pay to keep the past buried. That coin was never supposed to surface. But it did. And its impact rippled across governments, intelligence circles, and the very fabric of trust between nations. And that, my friends, is how a single penny became worth $306 million, not because of its age or minting error, but because of the truth it carried, the danger it embodied, and the stories it dared to tell. In a world where information is the most valuable currency, sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest weight. Stick around, because we've only scratched the surface of what lies hidden in your pocket change. The next unbelievable coin might just be in your hand right now. Next, 2001 D1 cent USA coin, where we dive deep into the most astonishing stories the world of coins and currency has to offer. Today, we're about to unravel one of the most mind-blowing discoveries ever recorded in numismatic history. This isn't your average tale of an old penny found in the attic or a coin passed down through generations. No, this is the extraordinary, nearly unbelievable story of a single 2001 D1 cent coin that stunned the financial world and redefined the meaning of value, rarity, and legacy. Strap in, because this is the legendary journey of the coin that sold for an unprecedented $981 million. It all started with a modest estate sale in Aurora, Colorado, in early spring. The Miller family, descendants of a local watchmaker and World War II veteran, were in the process of liquidating the belongings of their late patriarch, Harold J. Miller. Known affectionately around town as H.J., Harold had lived a quiet, unassuming life. No one, not even his closest family members, had any inkling that in the cluttered corners of his basement and garage laid one of the rarest treasures the numismatic world had never seen. The estate sale began on a chilly Saturday morning. Tables were lined with trinkets, boxes of old books, vintage watches, antique tools, and a modest collection of coins in small, labeled plastic bags. The coins weren't anything remarkable at first glance: wheat pennies, some steel cents from the 1940s, a couple of worn silver quarters, and then, almost unnoticed, a single copper-plated zinc penny with a D. The mint mark and the date 2001. It wasn't the kind of coin anyone would expect to be anything other than face value. In fact, it had sat for nearly a decade in the bottom of a jar Harold kept on a shelf next to his old workshop lamp. The only thing unusual was a tiny handwritten note folded behind the coin, marked in Harold's shaky penmanship, "Keep." Something's different. The note caught the eye of a young collector named Anthony Delgato, who had driven in from Santa Fe just for the sale. He paid a couple of dollars for the entire bag, mostly out of curiosity and sentiment. It wasn't until he returned home and began inspecting each coin under his magnifying loupe that he noticed the strange features of the 2001 AD penny. At first, it was the striking luster. Despite being nearly 2 decades old, the coin gleamed like it had just been minted. There were no signs of wear, no blemishes, and the copper coating shined with an intensity he'd never seen. Then came the discovery that would change everything: the weight was off. It was slightly heavier than any known 2001 AD cent. That's when Anthony reached out to his friend, a metallurgist at the University of New Mexico. The analysis shocked them both. The coin wasn't struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchet. It was made from a unique alloy, an unrecorded blend of 95% copper, 3% silver, and 2% tungsten. This composition had never been authorized for U.S. currency, especially not for a 1-cent piece. The anomalies didn't stop there. The coin also bore minute differences in Lincoln's bust, so small they could only be identified with high magnification equipment. The most chilling detail? Hidden beneath the right shoulder of Lincoln was a microscopic engraving that read, "Unfinished Promise." It was unlike anything documented in the numismatic records. Anthony sent photographs and the coin itself to the American Numismatic Association, where experts confirmed its authenticity and agreed unanimously it was not just a mint error, it was something far more significant. Rumors began swirling. Some believed it was a secret prototype from the Denver Mint, struck during late-night shifts by a rogue engraver. Others whispered that it had ties to a classified government program, potentially related to currency destabilization simulations during the early 2000s. Interest in the coin snowballed. It was dubbed the Phantom Penny by collectors online. Forums lit up with speculation. Historians, economists, and even cryptographers joined the discourse, all puzzled by its composition, condition, and the cryptic message engraved on it. Who created it? Why? And what was the unfinished promise it hinted at? As the mystery grew, so did its value. By the time it was officially certified and graded, a storm had erupted in the auction world. Sotheby's and Christie's battled over the rights to host the historic sale. Eventually, an anonymous bidder from Hong Kong, believed to be the founder of a major cryptocurrency exchange, offered an initial bid of $330 million, but that was just the beginning. The auction, held in New York City, broke every record. Bidders from Dubai, London, Tokyo, and Moscow joined via secured satellite feeds. The bidding war lasted 11 hours, with increments jumping by tens of millions. Finally, a shocking $981 million was declared the winning bid, placed by a private family foundation based in Liechtenstein known only as the Weiler Trust. The sale sparked worldwide headlines. A 1-cent coin, a denomination commonly discarded, dropped in couch cushions, or tossed in fountains, was now the most expensive coin ever sold in recorded history. Experts struggled to make sense of the coin's origins. The United States Mint conducted an internal investigation but released no public statements. Freedom of Information Act requests regarding the coin's minting were denied on national security grounds. The legend only grew. Documentaries were produced. Books were written. A Hollywood studio auctioned the rights to a thriller inspired by the coin's mysterious past. Anthony Delgato, once an obscure hobbyist, became a celebrity almost overnight, though he avoided the spotlight as much as possible. He used a portion of his finder's fee to establish scholarships for underprivileged students interested in numismatics and historical preservation, but one question lingered: why did Harold J. Miller keep that coin? How did he know it was different? Digging into his past, a researcher uncovered a curious chapter in Harold's life. During the late 1970s and early 80s, he worked briefly at a subcontracted machine shop that occasionally took on confidential government contracts. A few years later, he moved to Denver, where he volunteered at local veteran centers and occasionally worked odd jobs near the mint. Some believed he might have come across the coin accidentally or been entrusted with it for safekeeping. Others believed something more. In the pages of an old ledger Harold kept, tucked away between his records of watch repairs and lawnmower parts, was a poem. It wasn't dated or titled. It read, "They said a penny holds no might, but what if forged beneath the night? A silent oath, a covert grace, one sent to speak what time won't face." No one could ever confirm what role, if any, Harold played in the creation or discovery of the phantom penny. But it was clear he believed it meant something. Perhaps it was a message. Perhaps it was a test. Or perhaps it was a quiet rebellion hidden in plain sight, a coin meant to spark curiosity, connection, and the eternal pursuit of truth. To this day, the 2001 AD 1 cent remains in a temperature-controlled vault beneath the headquarters of the Viola Trust, only glimpsed by a select few. Scholars continue to debate its origin, symbolism, and purpose. But one thing is certain: it has forever changed how we view money, history, and the hidden layers beneath everyday things. As new stories continue to surface, whispers emerge of a second coin. Some say it was struck in Philadelphia, others say San Francisco. But until it's found, the phantom penny stands alone: one coin, one story, $981 million, and a legacy that will echo for generations. And that concludes today's journey through one of the most astonishing and mystifying stories in the world of coins. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the enigma of the 2001 AD 1 cent piece. Be sure to subscribe for more captivating tales from the hidden vaults of history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.